Hello, Roftwood. I'm Zombie GG with the Roftwood Coordination Center, proudly presenting you with another post-apocalyptic production I like to call an RCC Fireside Chat. This episode is the third and final part of my discussion with the Malton Medical Staff's Head of Security, Sunflower, and the Malton Medical Staff's Head Administrator, Lostfire. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Because she was always very nice and talkative and nurturing to like the new players and whatnot, and not in a risque way to them or whatnot.
And Sunflower was saying how he kind of carries that MMS tradition of just like fostering new players and pointing their direction to like entry points and stuff like that.
Yeah, because like the way the game works, people will spawn inside buildings that have low barricades and, or just outside. And at the time, Roftwood was pretty safe, but the buildings were still really heavily barricaded. So I spent probably like 75% of my AP running around outside looking for people who had just started the game. I spent most of my time outside in Urban Dead for a while,
just like looking for new players and just trying to like point them to buildings.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty awesome, man. That's totally a thing I could evolve my personal playstyle. Oh man, Lostfire. Sunflower was talking about just like old school screenshots. Do we have any of those on the forum that we can make transparent on the Discord?
Not really.
Did they get lost in the sands of time?
Yeah, like the MMS has just never been a huge screenshotting kind of organization.
I didn't even know what that button was until a few years ago. So.
Most people that screenshot back in the day usually had something to do with bounty hunting or PKing and whatnot. And we never really had much of the MMS. I mean, that's a vast generalization of people who did screenshots too. But usually, if you consistently use screenshots, it was because you were documenting PKing of some sort. But and so I think that's partly why the MMS just never really used it much. And it's kind of sad because like one of the few events where we did have it was the 2010 Coronation Bash, which is when there's this event called
I took a break at that point, so this is 2010. What's going on?
The MMS has gone through like some big changes. Like I don't know if you know this song, but part of the MMS history is that we essentially left Roftwood once around 2009. We did like a tour of the city, and we went to the zoo, and the Malton City Zoo. And
Sunflower, were you present for this?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we went on tour of the city, and we went to the zoo, and we spent time with him there. And eventually, we settled in I think with the Urban General Hospital.
General Hospital.
Yeah, someone added. Yeah, it was Kinch Heights. My bad on the thing, but it was Kinch Heights, and it was Urban General Hospital. Of course, someone added to the graffiti. It was like Urban Dead General Hospital. But we stayed there for like half a year to maybe a year because the RF was just so active in Roftwood that it was just pretty much impossible with the player population to keep things going there. So we basically just moved there for a while. And like at the end of this, while we're in Urban General, the Mrs. Morgue, like Green Wing had left before that. Mrs. Morgue basically oversaw the tour and I think the settling of Urban General, but I can't really remember that for positive. Sometime during this, I think she had her wedding to Feelin' Stiff. That was in late 2008. And
Morgasm had a wedding to Feelin' Stiff.
Yes, it was a match made.
Why do the
Feelin' Stiff was a zombie, in case you didn't know that.
Can we get this profile? Yeah. I'm gonna let your guy this.
Yeah, zombies of Zombie a Go-Go, I think.
Yes, that's it.
Wait,
that's
can someone get me this profile? Post it in Fireside?
Yeah, give me a second.
Yeah. But it was like this friendly zombie group called Zombie a Go-Go, and one of their members was this character called Feeling Stiff, and I don't know what the deal was, but like he would break in, essentially sway wooingly at Mrs. Morgue, and eventually he would start letting himself get revived, and they spent time together. I don't know if this was planned or whatever, but eventually they decided to marry, and they had like probably the only documented zombie human wedding that I know about. They had it over in Edgecombe, I think, and or I know he was in St. Ethelbert's Hospital, not hospital, St. Ethelbert's Church.
St. Ethelbert's Church?
Sunflower, were you there for that?
Yeah, I was there for the wedding, and then when they eventually, went to sleep forever, but...
Yeah, because I explicitly remember that I missed that. It was during one of my breaks that Mrs. Moore had the wedding and went to sleep. There used to be screenshots of that event, and they were funny as heck. But I think those have been lost to the internet. We just have a bad habit of when we do have screenshots, they tend to get lost. I like to say that we lost them because we accidentally spilled too much alcohol, and then the rats ate it, and then the rats got drunk and died, and then I don't know. But then, like,
it's so elaborate.
that's what I like to blame it on for why we don't have any screenshots anymore. We just can't keep ourselves from spilling booze on them, and then the rats.
Dude, if you had any idea, I have like a Google Drive of screenshots and shit. Like, oh my god, I don't know. You guys just like fucking pour alcohol on yours consistently. Just don't even bother keeping them anymore.
I mean, not on purpose. We just spill it, like it's hard.
Playing Naked Twister.
Yeah.
Dude, Feeling Stiff. This is a great character. I didn't know that Morgasm got married in game and like to a zombie. Like MMS has a history of this kind of shit. Cause isn't currently like what Mr. Cuddles like having like an interesting relationship with an RRF member?
I mean that's more of a joke than.
Can you give me a little bit more specifics? Because I know like vagueness. I know that something's going on. There's some weird stuff. I see it in the RCC text, and I think I saw something in game a couple times.
It's just because like swing your pants with. I actually can't. I'm gonna have to scroll back up into the chat to see exactly how that started out. It started out as I think Swing Your Pants made some joke about coming to kill Cuddles or something, and then me and a couple of the other RF basically spun it into a longer joke about them having a love, about it being love, and then I basically cited precedent that it would be okay if an MMS had a love affair with a zombie, because we have a historical precedent for it happening.
Wow, yeah, historical precedent. You just like cited it. You carried that mantle and brought it to 2018.
It's still up to Mr. Cuddles if he wants to do it.
It looks like there was a little drama. I didn't really understand it, but right now in like middle of September, I thought I saw something in the RCC chat.
And then that devolved into a whole discussion about one of the 90s Romeo and Juliet films.
Oh, it's great. I love the MMS. It's so much culture. I'm very, very grateful to have you guys be a huge presence in the RCC and Roftwood. You've been inspirational to my characters. So you were talking about like the administration type thing. Sunflower, who do you remember for like admins and stuff?
Well, after Greenwing and Morgue, I want to say it was Nelly. Lost may be able to help me out here because I don't entirely remember.
I think you're correct. I think Nellie Harmon was. It was Greenwing and Mrs. Morgue, and Greenwing was the first man, and then he vanished. And then like Mrs. Morgue became the head man, and Nellie Harmon was her head nurse, I believe. And then I believe Sarlin was Nellie Harmon's head nurse.
I'm sorry, real quick. I didn't know black platform boots were a thing until I'm reading Nellie Harmon's profile. Malton medical staff, like Norse runes on 8-inch platform shoes. Man, she sounds like a character. Another like long wavy red hair, deep green eyes.
I feel like she was probably inspired by Mrs. Morgue too.
Dude, but, Mrs. Morgue just had like a series of like Ronald McDonalds, I guess, but they're female Ronald McDonalds.
I never thought about it that way, but Well,
Y'all got like your red hair and shit. Like,
I think we have been described as a circus a couple of times, so it wouldn't be too far off.
oh, Sunflower got a sweet screenshot of Swing Your Pants from the Ridley Bank
Oh, yeah,
Resistance
that's it. It was
Front.
Swing's fault. That's why it started.
And Mr. Cuddles, it is Mr. Cuddles, yeah. Oh, this is the beginning of the month. They had to cut emotional
Yeah, that's the
ties.
beginning.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they broke up.
That was
No,
the
that's-
starting of it.
yeah,
That was when it
that's-
started.
That's what precipitated.
That's how it
the
started?
Romeo and- yeah, that's how it started. Is Swing said it, and then Cuddles responded, and then that precipitated the whole Romeo and Juliet analogy, and me bringing up that we had
How
historical
did I miss
precedent.
this? This is in the RCC like RF chat.
Yeah, it should all be there if you go back up.
Oh, there's been a lot of stuff. Oh man, I'm just came to the spot where I got smashed in the face to death. I got killed by a pumpkin by Ororo Monroe from the Ridley Bank Resistance
Yeah.
Front. Never have I ever been killed by a pumpkin before that moment in time. That was September 3rd.
So before I forget, like Nellie Harmon was Mrs. Morg's head nurse, and then Mrs. Morg left, and Nellie Harmon was the next head man. Saralyn, who is this super interesting character too, I don't know if you ever met her. She basically had a wandering tea room. Saralyn is kind of replaced at one point by Aoi Fang as the head nurse. And then when Nellie Harmon left, Aoi Fang became the head administrator, and Storm Guru became his head nurse.
Storm Guru.
They're the ones that kind of made the decision to go back to Roftwood, and then that's after them come Mr. Doctorus and me. Now, but I think this might be where the wiki is kind of incomplete though, because I'm not positive, but I feel like Angelic Chaos might have been a head nurse in there somewhere at one point. Sunflower, can you remember?
I would not have been there for Angelic Chaos being in charge.
They had that authorization on the forums at one point, so I think that they might have been, but I'm not positive. By 2011, Mr. Doctors had gone, and I was the head nurse, so I kind of, by means of succession, declared myself the head administrator, and I didn't do much for years. And this is kind of happens about the same time that Urban Dead itself is, decreasing populations, and Kevin is being heard from less and less over the years, and MMS numbers go down until, like, very often there's only about 3 or 4 people still active. And this kind of remains the case until about 2016. With I don't know what happened. Maybe I performed a magic ritual and I just don't remember it. Maybe my memories were the cost of the ritual. I'm not exactly sure what, but around 2016 is roughly when like a combination of like old MMS players start coming back, and we actually start recruiting a couple of new MMS too for the first time in years. We start having new interns.
Like what?
And-
Like Ultimate Ninja, or is he a throwback? Or like
No,
Mr.
they're-
Puddles?
Ultimate Ninja's actually a throwback. I believe
Yeah.
he's been with us since 2009.
Damn.
And he actually, I think he 2011 or 2012 is when he tapped out, and then has come back recently. No, there Tess is one of them. It's one
Tess
of the newer
X.
ones. Yes, Tess X is
I
one
love
of the newer
Tess
ones.
X.
There was a character called not Grumble Boy. His name is Rumble Boy, but Alicia called him, jokingly called him Grumble Boy once, and then that stuck. And he was active for like a year and a half, but then he just kind of went inactive, and I hope he comes back at one point, because he was
Humble Boy?
interesting. No, it was Rumble Boy.
Can you get that in the Fireside chats?
Yeah, I'll add it. Like, it's just, I don't know, it started picking up in 2016, and we actually got up to like 8 or 9 players, And people kept cycling back out, but we stayed around those numbers until like it comes to 2018, and then you start the Roftwood Coordination Center again. We have extremely benefited from this because we did very little. We did a little meta on the forums, but it was always very limited. We would occasionally do real-time strikes and share information.
Sorry, did you say earlier who like created the MMS forums? Or you remembered?
It was Mr. Doctorus, I think.
He created the one we're using now. Who created the original? I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember the original either.
Which one were you talking about? What forum were you guys
For-
like doing real-time strikes?
The real-time strikes would be on our current forum.
What
They
was the
used to
old
be
forum
Zeta
mostly
boards.
about?
It was the old forum. It was Archon Weaves or something, but it's gone. Like it was all shut down.
Is there any kind of backup, or is it all just permanently wiped?
I just know that it went down in 2009,
Oh man.
and that we didn't save much from it. Just a sec. I can find the link, like from the history of the wiki page. I can find you a link, but it's just going to take you to a search bar that says this was not found. And it's funny because in the very early days of 2007, there was a disclaimer that we didn't have forums because we wanted to focus on in-game stuff and whatnot.
Wow.
Of course, apparently that went out the window at one point, and we actually decided forums were a good idea. It used to be that when the hospital was sacked, we would where the rendezvous point would be put in the staff instructions and whatnot.
On the like MMS discussion page or something?
Yeah, go to St. Denis or something like that.
That's so old school.
Yeah. And so yeah, I can't actually remember the old forms that much, besides that we had them, and that Mrs. Mork was on them. I do remember that we had our Secret Santa Christmas party in Urban General using those forms and whatnot. If you ever look at my profile, there I have the silver pocket watch with the fairy and the little quote saying that even reality can be mythical, or paraphrase, something like that. And I got that from one of the Malton medical staff Secret Santa Christmas parties.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Sunflower, what was your favorite MMS event? You said you remember the zoo tour?
Yeah, I remember the tour down to the MCM and stuff in the zoo, but my favorite event was probably just the Siege of St. Ethelbert's.
That one that's in the wiki?
Yeah.
I'll bring that.
The
The
overwhelming
Last Stand of
event.
Roftwood, I think it's called.
Yeah, something dramatic, yeah. It was just funny to me.
100 zombies and stuff.
Yeah. Because at the time it was like just outrageous numbers. Like it was the first time I had seen so many. There's so many people in the building, like you couldn't see everybody in the building, kind of a thing. Like at some point it was like, yeah, and then there's 100 others, and it was like, oh, nice. It's probably my favorite event, just to, see so many people in one area.
Isn't there a full wiki page dedicated? The Last Stand. Okay, there it is. All
Yeah,
right, I'm
it
posting
should be
it
a
in the fire
linkable
chat.
thing.
I got it now.
Yeah,
There it
there it
is.
is. Malton Medical Staff,
Boom.
upper left corner, Disciples Arrested 1, Shining Crest Mission Imgonnadiesoon, Zombies at Go-Go. Yeah, they were on our side.
Zombies at Go-Go were on your side?
Apparently.
Yeah.
I remember the Uncanny
it's
Valley Alliance and Shining Crest Mercenary, and I remember you guys. Oh, the Gore Corpse. Dude, Lord Mullick was present for this event. Man, I'm very excited to have him in an episode. I want to hear his version of that event. Cthulhu in Lingerie, that character's still around from the RRF.
Yep.
I don't recognize any of the other ones, though. I don't see the Jack Neon reference.
It's further. It's, I think, the bottom of the page. Groups involved in the siege.
Oh,
Zombie
wow.
groups are.
Hey,
door to
look at that,
random-
Roftwood Coordination Center.
Yep.
Aw, the Kilt Store. Zone Defenders, yep. Roftwood Assault Force, rest in peace, man. Death Knight, I would love for him to come back. I think he hangs out in this place called McLeod's Pub. He might still log in and just dump AP in McLeod's Pub. Do you guys remember the RAF at all?
RAF. Rough Assault Force or something?
Yeah, they're like totally what I based the Roftwood Elite off of. Those guys were badasses.
They might have been before my time. When did they stop? Like,
Looking at their discussion page, try to get something. 2006, wow. Yeah, so I think they're like right when I first started playing. And I went to Roftwood, and I was like, these guys are super cool. And then they just like disappeared. And then I was like, where'd they go? And then I created like the Acid War Templars in Spirit. And then I quit, and then I came back and I made like the Roftwood Elite, kind of like a little bit more in spirit of the Roftwood Assault Force. I'll post their thing in the Fireside chat, but they're totally like, I was never part of the RAF, and I always tried to get a hold of Death Nut, and he just like, when I started like finally being worth my salt in game, he just like retired to this place called McLeod's Pub. I never saw him in game, I never made the venture down, because I was like, oh, you just gave up on Roftwood? Alright, well, let me try to pick up something. McLeod's Pub. I'm looking that stuff up right now. Hey, wow, it's a thing. What? McLeod's is a cozy, offbeat bar where firearms and tensions are checked at the door, traded in for cold beer, hot food, and occasional chuckle. The welcome is always genuine, the first drink's always free, and the regulars are always happy to offer a bar stool to random visitors, be they living, dead, or somewhere painfully in between. Anyway, that's where Death Nut retired to, the original leader of the RAF. Old times. Lostfire, what would you say your favorite event in the MMS was?
Hard to say. Hard to boil it down to one event. It would probably be the Siege, the Last Stand.
Oh my god. This is embarrassing. This was a little piece I just posted in Fireside chat of something. I wonder if you recognize any of those MMS names. Malton Medical Staff and Fans. This is some old school stuff. August 3rd, 2007. This is like my old NDG guy with Acid War Templars.
Oh, yeah.
I remember...
I remember all those guys, actually.
Yeah, me too.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, like Richard Cord and I don't know how to say that, Faweiwei. And then like Professor what? Pironi or something?
Sunflower, was it you that like in, I don't know, 2007 or something, somebody from the MMS like went and dueled somebody else in the museum on the west side? I think it was Troll Museum or something.
I have no idea. It's something I very well might have done. Was it Omega?
It might have been Omega.
Yeah, it was probably me then. I remember at one point, me and Suzanne, like, made some, like, you know, blood brother, like, pact to like, murder the shit out of Omega Omnis at all opportunities.
The Malton Medical Staff head of security makes a blood pact to just murder the shit out of Omega Omnis. Dude, we should bring back live duels in 2018.
I hope you mean in the game.
Oh, of course in the game. But yeah, I don't know, just like getting voice and stuff, like a third person, it's just like 3, 2, 1, go, and you're just like, I don't know. I honestly don't think I'd be the best at dueling, but I'd be willing to participate.
I see if the Gore Corps will like match you for player and just some random
shootout. Yeah, and everyone
ignores
one character, so this one guy can record the whole thing. That'd be nuts. And then we can see how it compares with the FOD, you know? That would be crazy, dudes! We could just do that thing, just shootouts, high noon shootouts, where we all agree on one time to get in and do one thing, and there's one bystander to record, like, it all, and see who the last man standing is. Just like 5 vs 5s or something. Even like a 3 vs 3, or... that'd be crazy.
Yeah. Hey, make it interesting. Like, see if you can get
play dirty with first aid kits and stuff.
No, not that interesting. I mean, like, make a bet.
You gotta post your screenshots of your inventories before the duel starts or something.
Yeah. No, like, bet the RF that if they lose, that they have to, like, leave Roftwood alone, like, or something. I'm not sure what we could offer them in return, though, because all they want to do is kill us and ravage the place, and they do that already.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe you can do, like, a song and dance and, like, more for them or something, and then they eat.
I'll have to like do a radio broadcast, just totally like giving RF propaganda for like a week or something. It's like, yo, this is Zombie GG reporting in. This concludes the third and final part of my discussion with the Malton Medical Staff's Head of Security, Sunflower, and Head Administrator, Lostfire. This RCC Fireside Chat is a post-apocalyptic production proudly presented to you by the Roftwood Coordination Center. I'm Zombie GG, and Roftwood, the pleasure's been mine.